And there we go. We're recording. So we are ready for a fantastic presentation. Already we've heard lots of cool ideas just in the lead up. So we'll hand it over to Todd, and yeah, please share with us your wisdom.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. So I'm excited to do this. Thanks for coming on Valentine's Day on a beautiful day as well. It's so beautiful outside. So hopefully you'll get a lot of practical tips. I guarantee you that from this presentation, you'll see stuff that you can use tomorrow. And I will share all the activity files. So you'll actually get over 10 activity files that you can even use in your class. Download the PowerPoints are already made. So I'm going to go ahead and just begin by sharing my screen, and we will get started. So here it is. And we are going to be using PowerPoint. And I actually had no idea how to use PowerPoint like this a year ago. And then my university uses the OneDrive system. We used to use Google, so I'm familiar with both. And I was a big Google guy, but I've been really impressed with what Microsoft is doing. And we were using OneDrive this year, and I had the same problem that everybody had. It was like, how do you make it so it's communicative and fun for the students on Zoom or Teams or whatever? And because all the students have a OneDrive account, I could start sharing files with them. I would just create a folder, and then I would just slide, like, the documents or the PowerPoints or whatever. And then I came across some activities from studying elementary school teachers in the States using Google Slides. And I was like, I wonder if you could do that with PowerPoint. And I stumbled across using audio with PowerPoint. So the first part is we're going to do is puzzles, creating listening puzzles, and they're mainly bottom up activities. And then the second half, we will look into using Google Forms. So it's kind of like things that Microsoft does really well and things that Google does really well. And actually, they are different. Some things Microsoft crushes it, and Google is actually really bad. And some things Google crushes it, and Microsoft is really bad. And we'll talk about the difference. So first, the main point is, why are listening tasks so bad? And let's be honest, most of them are really bad. And I'm a hypocrite because on my website, LO, and on Sound Grammar, I have lots of the dreaded 3 things: multiple choice, a gap fill, or maybe a chart. They're not very exciting for students, and they're not really solving anything. And so we're going to look at other ways to do this, and some other interactions that are more interesting and interactive: add, change, move, order, dictate, solve, color, sort, other things that students can do, especially for short bits of audio and also stuff that is bottom up. So first, happy Valentine's Day, and we will begin with our listening puzzles. So we're going to go through 10. I'll show you 10 examples. Now I'm going to go through all of these really quickly, and being a teacher and knowing how students are, I'm not going to share the exercise files until the end. But at the end, I will share the exercise files, and then you can download them all and you can use them to your heart's content. But as you can see, there's quite a few that we have. And the first thing I would like you to notice is, what do you notice just a little bit different about these slides than your normal textbook? And this is actually very important. What's different about these? Anybody? What do you think? The main thing I would say is there's just not that much text. So if you do PowerPoint slide listening activities, you can have a lot of white space, just like the Google Home search engine, a lot of white space, and you can really focus on what the student does, and you can just have each new activity can be a new slide. So here's an example of a very simple listening activity: missing word. So let's say a student has to read something, right? Now you have your typical gap fill, boring. There's 2 actually better ways to do that with PowerPoint. One is missing word. Now I'm going to play this, and in the chat window, you can contribute. What extra words do you see or do you hear that are not in the text? So the instructions would be for the student: play the audio, insert the extra words from the audio, and make them bold. So the student would play the audio, and in Microsoft, in the downloadable version, if they have it on their computer, you can actually play audio in edit mode. So the student can play the audio and then interact. Here we go. When I was in college, I was incredibly poor. I had no money at all. My city was ridiculously expensive, and I did not have a good paying job. Still, when I look back at that time,
I have fond memories of my life.
Right? So here it's a very simple activity. The student, they don't know where the gaps are. They have to play the audio and then figure out what were the extra words. And you can even put in a little grammar, right? So we have of my life, incredibly, ridiculously. Thanks everybody for participating. So it's really easy. So then the student, they could download it or you can put it in their OneDrive, right? So then they would have to type in the missing words. So no money at all, right? I did not have and it was good paying job. And then the students in the breakout rooms would work together to solve it. Can they get all the missing words? And it kind of teaches grammar and it's adding, and you'll find that the students want to get it right. They're actually a little more motivated because they want to make sure that they get it how it's supposed to be. So, and then of course you could have the students, usually what I do to have them check it just to help my eyes is I ask them to put it in bold. And then when I check it in OneDrive or if they email to me, it's very easy to check. Another thing is you can do synonym swap. And why is that there? That's kind of weird. So good pain, huh? Okay, that was odd. It was a hanging over. So here in this one, the students would, let me go ahead and just close this here. I accidentally had that go up too much. Okay, so the students would play the audio and then they would have to figure out what words were actually different than the words in the text.
Parents, teachers, and anyone who regularly deals with teenagers knows how difficult the adolescent years can be. Adolescents have always...
So here they would play it and they would be like, okay, it was anyone here, and they would change it. It was adolescents here. So here I took the audio actually from the CD, from the textbook CD. So if you have kind of a longer text that they have to work through, one easy way to make sure that they read it and make it fun is just go through and change a couple words. And a little tip, don't tell them how many words are going to be changed. And this is in terms of language acquisition. It really makes them kind of focus on the reading and the listening and then make sure that they get it right. So that's another one. So these two are pretty much the same, spot the difference. Okay, another one that we have is word order. So this is a very simple one. But let's say you have a series like a paragraph. Maybe you're teaching like how to write an introductory paragraph or something like that. You could break it into sentences, sentence by sentence, and then have the students try to put it in order, and they can just listen and check. So they can listen first and put it in order, or they can put it in order and then they could listen and see if it's right.
Craig Rogers was sitting on his surfboard.
So here, so the students be like, okay, so we said Craig Rogers was sitting on his surfboard. And one thing that I'd like you to notice is the time, the gap that's put in there with the interaction. So the students will hear something and then they're going to have to physically do something. They can't just click and go to sleep. So that actual principle of making them move, it's not the easiest thing to actually move these things around. I like that because I think it raises their awareness. It kind of keeps them awake and sharp. And when I go in breakout rooms and I see them do this, I love it because I used to teach kids and I learned like you can tell if kids are really into it, but they have that look like, huh? And I can see in breakout rooms that look like, okay, they're really working and they're really trying to get it together. So word order is another one. And like I said, you can do higher level ones if you want. Very easy to do. Okay, so, oh, by the way, I have to go back. Very important part. How do I add the audio? That might be the main question that people are wanting to know. Well, it's this really complicated process. You take the audio and you drag it on the screen. That's it. Ta-da, it's done.
When I was in college.
So here, let's say I delete it here. I delete it here. So if you have an MP3 file, or sometimes an M4A file will work, but it's not 100% reliable. But you just, if you have an audio file, and you can use Audacity or whatever, you just drag it on there, whoop, and it's ready to go.
When I was in college.
And then you can move this anywhere on the screen. So when it plays, it's not going to interfere with how it looks. It's kind of up to you, but that's it. And there at the end, we're going to show you how to add video as well. Yeah, exactly. It's so easy. And this is the amazing thing about PowerPoint. It is now what I rank it the #1 ed tech tool, because it is an interactive workbook. It changes the game for teachers and students because you can just add the audio and create the little workbook activity, and they just do it right there in PowerPoint in edit mode. Notice I've never went in presentation mode. So this has all been in edit mode. Now there's one thing about this. If you do it online in OneDrive Online, which we'll show you later on, if you do it in OneDrive Online, I think if you use Edge, it might work, but in most browsers, it will not work. So they're gonna have to have PowerPoint, the app, on their computer. Now, you're thinking, hey, this is really good, but I'm a Google Slides person. Okay, here's the thing about Google Slides. You can do everything the same, but audio will not play in Google Slides. So what you would have to do is have a link. So here, I just put a link to the activity, and then here the student just right clicks or whatever, and they open up the hyperlink, and then here it is. And so sometimes this actually works better because you can stop the audio and play it and do whatever you want. So here
When I was in college, I was incredibly poor. I had no money.
So here, if they open it up in another browser,
I had no money at all.
so if they open it up in another window, then you don't have to have it actually on the slide. So if you do want to do this with Google Slides, you can totally do it. You just got to do that little extra step. You're gonna have to put the audio, link the audio from either a G drive or from a OneDrive or Dropbox or Box or whatever you want to use. Yeah, so if you want to do that. All right, so now let's go back. Let me just go ahead and close this here. Okay, I have a question. Oh, she said you can make, yeah, you can make PowerPoint. I don't know, I need my glasses for the first lockdown. Yeah, you can make videos. I'm going to show you an amazing thing you can do with videos at the end. It's you, as you probably already know, Dan, it's amazing. So here's another one. So we did the word order. Let's go back here. So here's word order. And now we're going to do pronunciation. So here's kind of a cute activity where you could have a sentence and you're like, okay, stressed words above, reduced words down.
What do you want to eat for dinner?
So they can play it as many times as they want.
What do you want to eat for dinner?
And then they're like, okay, so this goes up and then these words go down. This word goes up. And again, I think especially with kids, having them do something physically helps them, right? That they kind of have to manipulate this stuff around. So this would be, so they would do it like this. And then for a teacher, it's so easy to check. It's very visual, right? So if I actually check a lot of this in OneDrive or in even an Outlook. If they email it to me, I can just check it real fast. I should shut my window. 1 second. Anyway, okay, I'm back. All right, so that's another easy one you can do to kind of move things around. Okay, so here, the next one, we're gonna do dictation. And I'm gonna show you the full dictation one here. Where is it? Here's the dictation. So here is the answer key. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up just real fast. So in the answer key, what the students have to do is put a conversation in order. Oh, actually, they're not in order, so it's kind of mixed up. So what they would have to do is first dictate the sentence, and then in breakout rooms or teams or whatever, they have to then order the conversation and put it in the correct order. So like here, the first one's gonna be, what did you do on Saturday? They would move that to the top. So what we did is, coming back here, is the students would play the audio.
Oh, I love that course. I tried it last week.
Right, and so then this would be a dictation. Oh, I love that course. I tried it last week, I think he said. I tried it last week. And then they can just listen again and check and see if they got it right.
Oh, I love that course. I tried it last week.
And then you could have more difficult ones. So this was for a more advanced class. I think this one's a little harder.
I didn't know you played golf.
Right, so, oh, I didn't know you played golf. And there's another one where she says, oh, if I'd known that, I would have invited you. And it's interesting because you have them solve this in breakout rooms, and a lot of the kids are like, I have no idea. And then one kid will get it. He's like, oh, she said, I didn't know you played golf, or I would have invited you. And so it's really cool that they're working together, and they'll like give the other kids, you know, kudos, like, wow, you're listening so good. Whoa, how did you hear that? So this is kind of a really fun activity that you can do. Okay, so then next we are going to do my favorite one. So these were all kind of like bottom up stuff, right? So you could have really short audio bits. This is an easy, super easy task. I guarantee you'll start doing this once you learn how to do it for longer listenings. Now, one of the problems with the longer listening, let's say 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, is what do you have them do for that much time? Well, what you could do is have them actually put the little cards in a time-stamped order. So this is 1 minute, from 1 minute to 1 minute 20, 121 to 140, 141 to 2 minutes, 2 minutes to 220. So the students would get this copy. And you give them a link for them to watch the video. And then the students just play the video on YouTube or wherever it is. And then they've got to put these words in the correct box. And what I love about this activity is you can teach them little bits of like language, like connectors or transitional phrases, things like that, that you can't really put in a multiple choice question or even really in a gap fill. And the students will listen to just little bits of language. So here, like you have to teach them how to open it up. So you say, open up hyperlink. And this is from a book that we use, Lecture Ready. Let me go ahead and so then they can kind of move it to the side like this.
Good morning, everyone. Ready to get started? Okay, good. Our topic today is diet and health. Today we'll discuss the reasons people choose the food they eat.
Okay, so she said our topic today is diet and health. Okay, so then the student would move that there. So then they would pause it. So again, it's interactive. They can't just listen on. They're going to have to listen, stop, listen, on, stop, and use different senses to focus, which will help them like stay awake and pay attention.
What I mean is maybe they choose for nutrition, that is getting the right type of food for good health and growth, or maybe they choose for pleasure, meaning they choose food because it tastes good. But before we go into why people choose the food they do, I'd like to give you some background and briefly explain 2 basic purposes of food.
So there it was. So she said 2 basic purposes of food, and they would put it into the time slot. And then when it's over, the kids could just check the answers like that. And so that's the listening grid. I love this activity. It's so easy to set up. If you do it, you can do it in class so that you know that they did the activity. And one thing I love, if you have OneDrive, I love OneDrive. If you have OneDrive, and if you can do this activity also with G Drive and Google Slides just as well, is I can roam and pop into the folder, our shared folder, and see them doing it. And I can actually see, like, because I share the activity with them, I can see them moving the cards around. So I can see that they're actually doing the activity, that they're being active. So yeah, so this one you can do in Google Drive as well. I should probably be looking at this. It says if you put it in their OneDrive, they edit directly in the PowerPoint. Yes. So they can, in class, they usually, I'll tell them, I'm like, oh, please do this in OneDrive. Sometimes I'll say, oh, you have to download it. Sometimes I'll say, can you email it to me when you finish? It really depends. But like this activity right here, the one I'm doing now, I would definitely say just do it in OneDrive. It's just easier. And yeah, so Jamboard, yeah, you could probably do it with Jamboard. I gotta get caught up with Jamboard and Padlet. I know how to use them basically, but I haven't used them that much. Yes. Would you read the phrases out loud? Yes, it helps a lot. Yes, thank you for saying that. So usually what I do is often I break it up too. Thank you for that. What I'll do is we'll say, okay, we're gonna do, everybody, you have 4 minutes to do the activity, but first, can somebody please read all of the cards? You get the picture, the nutrients are carried in the blood, the USDA advice can be confusing. People don't listen to food studies. Yeah, that's a really good point. It makes it much easier for the students to model the language first. But as you can see here from the cards, there's lots of little language that you can give. Like here at one point, she says, I give up, when she was trying to explain something. Like she means like she no longer is trying to do something. So you could add little bits of language in there that normally you wouldn't have on a listening activity. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for asking. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so here's another one. Now this one I'm going to show you the students can do. I couldn't show you the students' work because we all know about privacy, but this is so fun to do with the students. The students do a narrated story, and you could have them jumble it like the dictation, and they have to put it in the right order. But this time I'm gonna just tell the story in order. And so the students would play the audio and then they would dictate the sentence. And they would have to do it scene by scene. And this is just pictures that I drew in the cafeteria. It took me about 10 minutes. And then I threw the pictures onto PowerPoint. I added the audio, and then I added a place for the students to write. So I'm not going to write here, but I'm going to play the story and show you as an example how you can do a story with the students. And then the students can do the same thing. They can make their own story, and they make really, really good ones. So here it is. Here's the story. Each audio clip's only about 3 or 4 seconds long.
It was a dark, windy night. Above, a full moon shined brightly in the sky. A boy named Tom was walking in the park.
So then they go to the next part.
As he walked, he saw an object in the distance. It was a bright, white object moving towards him. It whistled in the wind as it crept towards him. It floated in the air. It was not human. It was getting closer and closer. He was frozen with fear. Was this a ghost? Was he doomed? Nothing seemed right. Nothing. Suddenly, the object rushed towards him. It revealed itself. It was...
Anybody? Any guesses?
A plastic bag?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was blowing in the wind. The moral of the story is, don't fear the unknown. Anything can be explained. Anything.
So this activity was actually for my high-end business presentation class. And actually there was a bunch of rhetorical devices in there that I used in the story, like repetition. Nothing seemed normal, nothing. So there's all these little rhetorical devices that we had in the book. And then at the end, I said, you have to end it with the moral of the story is, and then they had to say what the moral of the story was. So this was like trying to teach like rhetorical devices and how to give a presentation and stuff like that. And every time I give this to the students, as we all know, our students are amazing. They are so good. They are so good, the stories that they come up with. And, you know, this little creative aspect that they do, it's just fun. It's very easy for them to share the PowerPoints with each other. Usually what I do is I put them all in a big shared folder. They have to go and watch 3 or 4 and then comment on it. So anyway, this is a very, very easy one. And don't throw garbage away exactly in the park. Is that what you said? Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. All right, so here's another one. I love doing this. I'm always giving the extensive, the vocabulary guys a hard time joking with them because, oh, actually this one's a little bit different, but they're always talking about like word lists. And I'm like, yeah, but like, it's hard for the students to know like which word, which situation, etc. So this is a fun activity. And the students, again, I have them fill out surveys and they rate this one really high. And the puzzle is, what order do you hear this word act? So they're going to hear it in the noun form, the verb form, the adjective form, and the adverb form. So they have to listen for it, and then they have to put the order. So here we go. I'll go ahead and play it.
Number 1. My son is very active. Number 2. We need to take action. Number 3. I am actively looking for a new job. Number 4. You better act soon.
So here, it's a really easy listening task. They don't have to do much writing. They're just like, okay, wait a minute. So it was, number 1, number 2. And again, if you have the students do this online in breakout rooms, it creates a lot of discussion. They really like get talking like, oh, no, he said this, or like, oh, what did he say? And so it makes them, it's just kind of really good for them checking the answers. And actually, it's one of the benefits of teaching online. Like, obviously we all want to go back to the classroom, but there are a few things that are just superior. And one of them is students checking work, because if they can all share the screen, they're all kind of looking at the same thing. Whereas in classroom, their heads are down, they're looking at a book, they have to look over. It's not quite the same thing. They're not literally on the same page, but on this way, they can be on the same page. So this is kind of a fun activity that I like doing. And then, like I said, you can be very creative. So here's another one here, the pronunciation syllable one. So the students play the audio and match the pronunciation with the syllable pattern. Mark your answers by changing the color of the stressed syllable. And so here they have the freedom to change the color to however they want it. So here's a sample. So the students would play it.
Superb. Superb. Superb.
And they'd be like, oh, it's this one right here, right? So then they would go ahead and then change the color. And I think my PowerPoint is a little, there it is. So then they can change it like that. And then you could have it here. Sometimes I show in the little graph, they could actually see it visually. I'll put it in there. Here's another one. Obviously, by the way, this is the answer key. When I give this to the students, I just have to delete the answer key and then give them the PowerPoint without the answer key. So this is another nice thing about PowerPoint. It's better than a book, is you can have the answer key. The teacher's answer key can be right below each slide, rather in the back of the book or something like that. So it's very visual for the students to see what was done. And for you to give it to the students, you just create the activity with the answer key. And then when you give them the PowerPoint, you just delete the answers. And then that's it. So here's another one. It's a little harder.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Right. So the students would be like, I think it's this one. And so then this is, again, they would have to work together. And then you can actually show the visual. There it is. Fantastic. So they can actually visually see it. Can't do that with the book. All right, so here's another one that they like. This gets really good discussions. We're almost done, and then we'll give Google some love. We'll get to the Google stuff. So this is the word count dictation, and you can do this with paper as well. You can do that. You don't have to do this online. Rather than have them dictate it, just count how many words. All right, and then they have to share like how many words was it, and that actually gets better discussion because one student will say, well, it was 5 words, and another student says, no, it was 6 words. The other student's like, what word, what? 6 words. And then they have to say it slowly. So here with this one, play the audio. How many words do you hear? And so like, for example, I'm going to see him tomorrow. It would be 7. So here it is. Oh, I'm sorry, I went ahead of myself.
I'm going to see him tomorrow. I'm going to see him tomorrow.
So this is for a high level class. You can teach them that I am going to naturally in North American English really fast is I'm going to do this. I'm going to call her. I'm going to have lunch. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to tell mom. So we have all these, when we say I'm going to really fast, we say I'm going to. So this would be a really fun puzzle. And the students just have to type in the number. So we'll do it here. You can probably see the answer in my sheet. But how many words is this?
You're going to regret this. You're going to regret this.
So anybody, what's the answer? So then the students, you teach them to count. You are going to regret this. So it kind of teaches them grammar as well. And to be honest, I like the word count dictation better than the actual dictation. It's physical. It really kind of makes them think about the places of the words. And it's very easy for them to talk and exchange. And they get really into it. Like, what? Only 4 words? What? I heard 8 words. And so then they'll really kind of get into it and they'll have a discussion about what the right answer is. 6. And the answer is 6. Yeah, you are going to regret this. All right. Okay, so
I just to say though that it's interesting, this activity, because just even listening to it and hearing you're going to, as opposed to you are going to, and that's gives an opportunity to be able to show the you are your and get them to tune their ears to that.
Oh, totally. And actually there's so many like, reductions and linking liaison, like the whole thing. I have this whole thing, I call it ghost English. And it's like the English you see is not the English you hear. And the English you hear is not the English you see. And so like, this is the type of, I love these activities because the students could figure it out. Also, another thing is sometimes I'll have them like color code it. Like what are the words that are heavily reduced and like maybe put a line through it or something like that. That's another activity. And I'm going to be running out of time. There's so many things we can do. I'm going to show you one thing really quickly, though. That is, there are one super thing, that the best thing that you can do. And somebody pointed this out about the video. So you can actually make like a really cool ebook with video. So this is a video that I make with Vyond, but you can do any video. You can add video to PowerPoint. It will play in edit mode. Audio will not. Audio will play in edit mode only offline. It will not play in edit mode online. Video will play online or offline. It doesn't matter. It will even play in edit mode online. And the students can watch a video.
How do you like your food?
It's good, but I'm not used to eating vegetarian food.
You should become vegetarian. There are many health benefits
Sorry.
by doing.
Sorry. So I was trying to make it a little bit bigger. Let's try it again one more time.
How do you like your food?
It's good, but I'm not used to eating vegetarian food.
You should become vegetarian. There are many health benefits by doing so.
So I used Vyond to make this. And then again, you could have any type of interaction on the PowerPoint slide. So this is actually in edit mode. And so you can even make a book, right? So if you export this as a PDF, it looks just like a book, actually. So somebody mentioned this earlier, and yeah, you can do video. Now here's the really weird catch. To make it A4 size, you're not gonna believe this. The best way to make PowerPoint A4 size is first to go to Google Slides, do it in Google Slides, download it as a PowerPoint, open it up, and then work on it as an A4 sheet. PowerPoint, depending on what operating system, is not the easiest thing to make it actually an A4 sheet. I literally make the template in Google Slides first because it's so easy. Also, Google Slides, if you want to make a class book, Google Draw the same thing. If you want to make a class book, Google Slides now and PowerPoint are almost on par with Illustrator or InDesign, to tell you the truth. Like if the students are going to make a book, just have them make it in PowerPoint or make it in Google Slides. It just exports as a PDF. It's so easy for everybody to share and edit. You don't need any software tools, and it looks great when you export it. So yeah. Oh, Vyond, sorry. I have it here. It's called Vyond, and I will show it right here. I'm ready for that, actually. Let me go ahead and move this. I know I have to hurry up. So I'm gonna go really quickly here. Where's Vyond? Here it is. Here's Vyond. So I use Vyond. It's actually a little expensive. It's $100 a month, but it's worth the money if your school will pay for it, because you can make so many animations, different settings. You can even do the AI, like they'll provide the audio for you. It's a little robotic, but you can have different accents: British, Indian, Australian, from around the world. There's really only 3 or 4 accents or computer-based accents that are really good. You can upload your own audio. You can record in the app as you make the animation. So yeah, I make all the videos with Vyond. So I think this is kind of the future. All right, so I'm gonna have to do the next thing in just 6 minutes because I'm running out of time. So then we have time for questions. The next thing that we could do is time to give Google some love. So we've talked about all you can do in PowerPoint. So the second part of the presentation, I wanted to talk about using Google Forms. And it's just really simple. I kind of saved this towards the end because I think a lot of people probably already know how to use Google Forms. So there's really not that much to share. But I'm going to put this in the chat window. You can see an example here. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Okay, so there's a sample quiz that you can all take. I'm going to go ahead and open up my screen one more time. All right, so what you could do is I actually made this video on my own using a whiteboard. So this is me with my phone doing a story sequence on my whiteboard. And so you can do any video. You can take a lot of videos online. And what the students would do is they would put in their name and then they would watch the video. This video is only a minute long. And this actually has a grammar point. We're doing was, going to. And then the students would watch the video and then just answer and take the quiz. And it's a self-graded quiz. So here it is, my masterpiece.
I had big plans. There were so many things I was going to do. First, I was going to play soccer. I was so excited, but it rained all day long, so I couldn't play. I was so bummed. Then later in the afternoon, I was going to go see the new Mission Impossible movie with my friends. We were going to see it at the new theater downtown, but it was sold out. It was so crowded, we couldn't get in. And then later in the evening, I was going to have dinner with my girlfriend. I was so looking forward to it, but she got sick and she couldn't eat. She couldn't meet me. So it was so bummed. I was so bummed. It was so bad. Yesterday, I was going to do so many things, but I ended up not doing anything. Oh, well, as they say, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Right. Okay, so then the students would then go through and they would answer. Let's say I'm just going to click randomly here, like students not even trying. And then they would submit the quiz. And now, by the way, they would put their name up here. So let's say my name is Dude. And they would submit it. And then it's like, okay, hey, do you want to see your score? Yeah, I want to see my score. And then it'll tell them how they did, right? So they can get instant feedback on their score. So you can use Google Forms for this. I'll just show you a couple other ones I've done. Here is one I did for like a TED Talk, same thing. So that if you want to do a higher end listening, you can do that with a TED Talk and then create a quiz. Here was a nice one about a student, a Japanese woman did about the difference between life in Ehime and life in Tokyo. And so this was for a writing course. And so they had to actually write, like, what was the pros of Ehime? What were the pros of Tokyo? And then they had to put in their own answer. Like, what do you think is the best place to raise a family? They had to answer a few more questions. And so this was a little more higher end what they had to do, but it was good because the students, they really put a lot of effort into their responses. And then it's very easy for the teacher to actually to check them out. So here, if I want to see the students' responses, then I would just open up the Google Sheet. And then I've already closed it so you can't see their names. But then here I can see everybody's responses. And then often what I do is I will make it so I can read it really quickly. I just go to, I forgot which one, view, maybe you guys can help me out how to do format. There it is, text write. So I do wrap, and then I could actually read their responses. And sometimes I'll even post this. The students can see what everybody said. So I do a lot of these type of activities where they have to fill in a Google form, and then I just check the Google Sheet, and that's how I grade it. And my favorite activity actually is this one. So they have to, I'm sorry, it's this one. So they have to, let's go back to preview mode here. They can choose anything they want to. So each week they would have to watch a presentation. They would have to put the link, and then they would have to summarize it, 50 words about, and then give a response. So they had to summarize what was it about, and then they would have to summarize, give a response. How did they feel about it? And then maybe, I added some other things like what did they like about the presentation, etc. And it was the same situation to where then the students, I could just check their Google Sheet, and I would check it every week. And because they put in their name, you can sort it and see week 1, week 2, week 3 that they did it. And then the students would present it in class. So Google Forms is really good about stuff like that. Another thing that we do is this one. You can go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and share this one with you as well. So this is, we have a speaking test. So what I did is using Vyond, and I used the computer generated animation. I had the students, I created a sample speaking test. So we have Sue, Joe, and Tom. And so this is actual training. So they actually have to score. I put the rubric on the Google form, and they have to score it for Sue, Joe, and Tom, and then say, like, what could Sue do to improve her score? What can Joe do? What can Tom do? And here is the little sample animation that I made.
Let's start the discussion. How can Japan be more environmentally friendly? Do you have any ideas?
I like the idea about packaging. I think some products use too much plastic.
I agree. You make a good point. Lots of products have extra packaging.
Yeah, for example, I bought some headphones the other day. They were wrapped in 2 sets of plastic, and on top of that, they were in a plastic bag.
Oh, wow. Yeah, packaging is a problem, but I think electricity use.
Okay, so I'm running out of time. As you can see, poor Tom is not going to do too well. And so this is really good because the students can see, hey, this, Tom, they give all 1s. And if I go and check the scores, it's really nice because I can see that they realize that Tom didn't do very well. And so, yeah, poor Tom. So it's very easy for them to see what is a good one and what is a bad one. And that is about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this, and I'm gonna give you the links to all the files on OneDrive that I had, so you can get those PowerPoints and have fun, use them to your heart's content. Let me see if I can pull it up here. While I'm doing that, are there any questions?
Yes, don't be shy, everybody. If you've got any comments or questions, very welcome.
Hi, Todd. William here. Thank you
Hey,
for your
William.
presentation. It's great. Good to see you again.
Oh, nice to see you. Thanks.
I have got a question. Like with all the audio stuff that you've got going on, this is really for an environment where everyone's in their own kind of space, or like at home, for instance. Is that what you're thinking? Like you wouldn't do this in the classroom?
No, I mean, you can do it in, I was saying, like, you can actually do some of the activities in class. Like a lot of times what I'll do is I'm getting the link here, making sure I got it. Yeah, okay. So what I'll do is I'll actually make the textbook listening look exactly like the PowerPoint, and then I'll put it on the screen, and then I'll use that to go over it. So a lot of times I'll actually replicate it. That's how I actually got the idea for doing this, is because a lot of elementary school teachers do that. They make a copy of the book on like Google Slides or on PowerPoint. So you can do it if you're going to do an in-class listening activity and you want to do it on a monitor, like a TV instead of a CD, you can do that as well. And by the way, everybody can check the link, make sure it works. That should get you all the activity files. So if you cannot access that, please let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did that answer your question, William?
Kind of, but it was hard to visualize what you're talking about.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So you're saying like this is mainly only using it online?
So okay, let me get you back up again. Okay, so I'm imagining that they can freely play back the things that they're listening to.
Oh yeah, yes.
And I'm just thinking that must be a massive cacophony in the room.
Oh no, yeah. So like when we're in the breakout rooms, one person should share.
Yeah.
And everybody should mute. So if they want to listen on their own, they can. And then usually that's kind of how it works. Like everybody has to mute, one person shares the screen, and then only one person is playing the audio at the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
But also these are great for homework. So if you want to give like listening, like if you're in a traditional classroom, I will continue to use these as homework because they're just so easy to do. Does that help, William?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I got a minute. Anybody else? Any questions?
I have a question. Hi, this is awesome. For the activities where you're asking them to drag around, the text boxes and things, and you have like a chart, did you like save an image to make a background on the slide so that they don't drag around that table in the back?
Yes, Cassie, you're so awesome because I'll show you that. Yeah, this one right here. Okay, so this one, I actually did make made it the background image because there's just too many moving parts. So actually, let me go ahead and open up it here. This is going to be better if it's. Ooh, here it is. That slide, the gray area. Sorry, I'm going to open it up here. So yeah, so Cassie's point is excellent. So the problem is, especially with kids, is if you have a lot of things on the slide, then they're going to move around. And so what I did is I make the slide, and then I only have a couple objects you can move. So only this right here. So I did this. I cannot move. I cannot move. I cannot move. This I could move because, by the way, this real quick tip. So what I did is I made a sample. I mean, a template. It's the same conversation, the same thing, but 3 times. So like a student would play this about my mom. What does she like, dislike, like, and love?
So my mother really doesn't like movies very much. I don't know.
So then she would like move this here. Like maybe they think it's here, and then I'm gonna go on and say that you really like shopping, and so I move it here. And then this is just a template. They're all the same. My dad's answers are a little bit different, my sister's answers. But her point is very, very important. If you have a lot of objects, use it as a background image. It works much better. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That sliding activity looks really cool too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think that's in the downloadable. I didn't talk about it though. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Cassie.
So we're actually at the end of the time slot, but we could take one more question if anybody would like to ask something to Todd.
Hi, Todd.
Hey, hi.
Hi there. I'd just like to talk about the last activity you did where the students were critiquing like a discussion.
Yeah.
Have you ever done like a real life kind of version of that where it's the students who are speaking, but you've changed their names?
I haven't, but what you could do is, like Cambridge, they have all their tests online. So you can actually get live ones like the CAT test, the PET test. There's a lot of them online actually. But ours, because I needed to do it specifically for our rubric, you could do that. We actually are in the works to do that at our university. We want to ask some students if we can have permission to use their videos, which would actually be better. Yeah. The one problem is that when you do that, a lot of times you can't get exactly, like the kids don't really hit on every point. So if you do the animation, you can make sure you like tick every box. But yeah, it's more interesting if you see the other students. And also these have the problem of having a really bad student, like, to have a Tom, it's kind of, you know.
No, well, my thoughts were that would, it's probably not a really nice thing, but that would then maybe encourage the students to do better the next time, when they actually see, see themselves on TV, I guess.
Yeah, totally. And actually, as me, like I wouldn't mind. I'm always like, oh, I should try it in Japanese, and they can critique me. I would be close to Tom. I wouldn't be that much better. Yeah. All right. And so here I put my email in there. If anybody has any questions, actually, I'll put my official work email as well. If you have any questions about this stuff, please, you can write me. Also, if you go to one of my websites, meals.org. There's a sign up list for a teacher training thing that I do for free. And actually, I have some more training files. Hang on, let me just get the link. And you could go to that site and there's tons of stuff that you can do. And let me just check. Here it is, LO class. Okay, so I have a free course on Teachable that shows how to do a lot of this stuff, like step by step. I don't have the PowerPoint ones up yet, but I will add those up shortly. I did not talk about Nearpod. Nearpod is awesome. I did not talk about Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is also awesome for listing activities.
Wow.
I had one quick question. Can I just ask one?
Sure. Yeah.
I was wondering, have you done anything where students would record their own voice and then add that to their Google Drive or add it to the PowerPoint?
Yeah, actually, yeah. And actually the PowerPoint, like I'm saying, PowerPoint is actually, or Microsoft is actually pulling ahead of Google. They're getting ahead of the curve in terms of audio on all different things. And so PowerPoint will take 4MA, which is the output on their phone. It's the default. So MP3 is usually from a computer. M4A is on their phone, and they can record on their phone and slide that on a PowerPoint, and it'll play. So it's even really easy for them to do. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, that little thing about the plastic bag story. So the students do that. They make their own audio, and they make their own story.
Wow. Fantastic. Yeah. It's amazing how much you were able to fit into 45 minutes. Like I really think that everybody will have lots to be able to use in their next class. So thank you so much, everybody. Let's give a round of applause to Todd for such fantastic presentation and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Oliver's still here. Oliver, is Oliver still here? I was going to put his link to his site. Yeah, Oliver, put your link to your site real quick. Oliver has some really cool listening stuff with his Lingo Lab as well. Put that in there, Oliver. And I have videos on the links, the Teachable, that shows you how to use Oliver's site, which is also awesome.
Oh, thanks, Todd. Yeah.
Back in the day, Andy Johnson used to have the awesome trailers, but then Apple came after him. Yeah, that site was awesome.
For people into the wanting more listening activities, Todd didn't mention him, but he's got an amazing site, ELLL.org, with thousands of listening activities, which you didn't even touch on. So that would be,
I didn't want to be promotional, but here I'll throw in there LO.org and also soundgrammar.com. One word, it should be one word. Thanks a lot, Oliver. Soundgrammar.com has tons of the videos, and I think you can download most of them. I don't think I have them protected, but I have all these animated videos by grammar topic, like noun clause or past perfect or whatever. So you could also do that. Jose is so awesome. And his site off Goldfish 365. So we all got to help each other. And Paul Rain, by the way, you're asking about recording your own audio. Paul Rain has an amazing app, teachertools.digital, that you can do that. And that's also on the training thing that I provided. If you want to have them do their own audio, and they even groups it for you, and you can have a free account for 30 days. It's awesome. So anyway. Thanks. Please be in touch. I love feedback from people. And I hope, best wishes. Enjoy your break. Happy Valentine's.
Yes, happy Valentine's.
Thank you.
Everybody. Chocolate, kisses for everybody. Big hearts, right? Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye. Nice seeing everybody.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Oh, Chrissy, you're awesome. You're a really fun host. You made
that was unbelievable. I can't believe how much I learned. Like that was a master class, and you gave so much content, and very generous to give so much of your material and tricks to all of us.
Well, I always look at it this way. Like I didn't invent PowerPoint. I didn't invent Google. So it's like but it's like you just want to. It's like saying like, oh, you have to pay me for telling you about McDonald's. We all got to share. So yeah.
No, it's wonderful ideas, and I really wasn't very savvy about any of this like online stuff until last year, and now, regardless of whether it's online or whether we're face to face, I will definitely be continuing to use all of these platforms and fantastic things that make our classes better.
Oh yeah, thanks. And actually, it's. I mean, the thing is, I'm like what they call a maven about PowerPoint. Like I'm like proselytizing